moment passes. But in stone, in paint, in art, time can have a stop. Two cities meet here in Canada's National Gallery. The one, Ottawa, the living city, busy with the press of day-to-day affairs. The other, fixed on canvas, a city 3,000 miles away. A city which was at the height of its greatness before Europeans had even heard of the homeland of these children. And when these children have become old men and women, this painting will remain treasured, speaking of another time, other men. Venice 200 years ago. When Canaletto painted these pictures 200 years ago, Venice was already in decline. The lagoons of Venice had once been packed with galleons, laden with ivory and rubies, spices and silks from the Indies. She had once called herself Queen of the Seas, safeguard of the West. But even in the days of its decline, after the wealth and power had shifted elsewhere, men came from all over Europe as if on a pilgrimage which must be undertaken. In the 18th century, no gentleman was considered properly educated till he had been to Venice. He came to look upon the fading grandeur of the city on the waters, but also to see something less ephemeral. For Venice in its heyday had seen a flowering of art such as the world has rarely known. The squares of Venice once echoed to the footsteps of Titian, Veronese, Tintoretto, Verrocchio, Tiepolo. Venice today, in some ways, is living on its reputation. In some ways, a delightful trap for the tourist's dollars or pounds, francs or marks or piastres, with elements of a sideshow.
Estacas de madera que no son tan gruesas porque pueden ser 30 centímetros de diámetro y 3 metros de largo, comprido, como se dice.
The 4 horses were made roughly 400 years before Christ, made in Greece by Lysippus, they say, probably.
De esta columna, o mejor dicho, encima de este pedazo de columna.
Then in the middle you see the time, 11:20. You see that? That changes every 5 minutes.
But the treasure of art remains. A silent language speaking through centuries. Goldsmiths, sculptors, painters have bequeathed to Venice a legacy, jealously guarded in the churches, museums, palaces. A treasure valued at hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of the tragedy of jealousy. Yeah, the Shakespeare drama is Othello, the Moor of Venice, you see.
Millions of pictures, photographs, paintings every year. Yet very few remain as anything more than personal mementos. What is the difference between just a picture and something that will be treasured through ages? The Venetian gentleman in the square who every day dashes off a canvas, is he shaping anything of lasting value? What will endure? What is art? In a modern pavilion in Venice, that question alone is almost hot enough to break up a family. For styles in art change. And the newest style, though it will have its defenders, is usually met with scorn. A pot of paint thrown in the public's face. That was the great critic's verdict on the work of Whistler 80 years ago. In Venice today, there are 30 such galleries devoted to contemporary works from 30 different countries. Every second year in the public gardens, these national pavilions hold an exhibition, the famous Biennale Festival. What is of enduring value in art? In the Canadian pavilion, there is perhaps one clue to the riddle. This is a canvas painted 60 years ago in Canada by James Maurice. The old remember when this style of painting caused a furor, because it was the style of the Impressionists, which was then revolutionary. But whether a work will live or die depends on a quality beyond style. What that quality is often subject to debate. But when it is there, that stamp of a personality, that individual vision of reality, it will communicate itself to those who have eyes to see. Venice is a city that artists have depicted for centuries. Bellini, Titian, Canaletto, Guardi, Monet, Renoir. Each saw the same Venice, and yet each man expressed his vision of its shining reality in a way that no other had done before. Man has always sought to rescue something out of time, and time is one of the judges of art, sometimes an executioner. very sea that led to fortune will finally yet destroy the city it has blessed. Wave and wind take their toll. But it is finally the judgment of men, a cruel judgment sometimes, which has turned secluded courtyards in Venice into junk heaps. Whatever was merely pretty or sensational, whatever used the techniques of art without the vision of an artist, lies moldering here in these tranquil shades. Only work stamped with some enduring quality, be it delicacy or overriding strength, speak through centuries to all humanity. "11 centuries ago, Venetian merchants in Egypt stole the body of St. Mark. It was buried here in the great basilica, for it was hoped the saint's remains would protect and bless the fortunes of the growing city. Above the noisy square, craftsmen worked for 10 years piecing together out of bits of glass and stone a representation of that historic moment in time, the day the saint's body was entombed in this place. The renown of the princes and great ones is forgotten by all but historians. But their image, shaped by anonymous craftsmen, lives on. How many millions of eyes through the centuries have looked upon these? Even these faces will weather and die eventually. Yet something will remain. The spirit in man which attempts through art to grasp and illuminate the meaning of his journey, that spirit will remain when Venice itself is only a legend.